everybody, Hessel Kim here with Polymath, and I'm here with...
Miko Matsumura.
Have you guys heard of him? If you haven't, then you're not in the space. Could you tell me, I've seen you around Asia a lot these days. Could you tell me where you've been on this roadshow?
Oh, it's been all over the place. So right now we're in Thailand, obviously, and then Korea. I've been to Japan. Obviously, Japan's very big for me. I just opened a $30 million crypto investment fund in Japan.
Okay.
So that's been important. And then I just kind of came through a tour out of Europe as well. So big chain of things, including Malta, Lithuania, Poland, Frankfurt. So big chain of events.
See, he's getting shout-outs already in the background, if you heard. You set up a fund in Japan. Could you tell us the name of it and the type of projects that you're focused on?
Absolutely. It's called Gumi Ventures, like a gummy bear. And basically, Gumi invests in seed stage, crypto, token, and equity. Mm-hmm. And we're really looking to bring the best teams in the world into Japan. So the thesis is, Japan is the largest crypto economy in the world. When you look at fiat to Bitcoin,
right? Yeah,
it's actually about right now it's tracking about 77% of 24-hour volume. Planet-wide.
Really?
So it is utterly dominant in fiat to Bitcoin. Mm. So Japan is a huge crypto economy, but it is also kind of a real hardcore pain in the ass for entrepreneurs. Like breaking into Japan is super hard. So we want to make it easy. So we want to get really good teams and we want to bring them in. And we want to invest strategically. So we want to look for companies that can do business in Japan, can be incredibly successful in Japan as well as their home country, and we want to bring them in.
I see. So it's more like an incubation, going in on those early projects to facilitate that. When I used to do technical analysis, not so much these days because, where's the market? But I would look at Bitflyer in comparison to Bitfinex and Gemini and these other exchanges because of what you were saying. It's such a major market player for Bitcoin. In terms of incubation, in terms of fitting in particularly to specific markets, how within Asia you've been around multiple places. You're based in San Francisco. How do you see the difference in innovation and creativity in these different types of markets?
Well, Silicon Valley has had a tradition of really being kind of core disruptive, right? And there's been really strong institutional support and liquidity, right? So when you really look at access to capital, Silicon Valley has been kind of the prime location. Because of that, it's created a culture and a set of instincts for entrepreneurs that is super duper oriented towards kind of world-eating scalability, right? So the culture is super global and like super growth oriented, right? Because the entrepreneurs are trained not to think about capital as a constraint for growth, which is both healthy and unhealthy, right? But I think that that's really something that is starting to shift with the decentralization of capital markets, right? So we're starting to see that kind of globalized mindset coming from all points around the globe, and that's pretty exciting. So, I think that's sort of what's new.
Are there any types of projects that you're looking at more in detail these days that you think are going to help shape the space as a whole?
Yeah, so we tend to really like infrastructural things, right? So infrastructure chain, I think, is an exciting place to look for innovation. We do like at the upper layers from the application mid-stack on up, we like middleware protocols. We also like protocols that kind of maybe masquerade as applications. So if you look at something like sharing economy, or if you look at things, we did invest in Origin protocol, Basis, Robot Cash. We've got a couple of others in the pipeline, but we're really looking for that kind of magic combination because we also see like huge growth areas like financial services, right? And we also see things like gaming. We've yet to, Robot Cash was one of our gaming deals, but and Gumi originally is a game company, so we really have that kind of legacy history, as do a lot of people from crypto. But at the end of the day, like we're pretty selective, so we definitely are seeing a lot of new deal flow. But I do feel like those are the areas we like the best.
It's an interesting thought process to try and figure out what the next big thing is going to be. It's really chicken or the egg when it comes to infrastructure or dApps. Is it some of the deep tech, or is it upper layer protocols? What do you think is going to provide the next explosion and adoption rate? Is it going to be a dApp, or is it going to be the infrastructure that allows all the dApps to come on board?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's a bit of a mythology is this concept of a Netscape moment. And the reason why I think it's not going to work that way this time around is we're really talking about the phenomenon of open source money, right? So people are reasoning about this incorrectly, I think, which is that they're thinking, what will be the killer app for blockchain, right? And to me, that's an insane mindset, because it had a killer app straight out the gate, which is money, right? If that's not a killer app, I don't know what it is. And what does that really mean? What it really means to me is it means that what will occur is actually that institutional is going to lead rather than retail and rather than consumer. So instead of looking for Netscape in a consumer application, we're actually going to see tremendous volume coming from institutional side, especially as we start to see regulatory clarity. So I think that's really where the thesis, I think, lies, is really looking at kind of large-scale institutional capital inflow. And I think that consumer will follow, especially as we start to get more performant infrastructure, which we currently don't have. So.
I definitely appreciate that vantage point. I think I'll start trying to put myself in that headspace as well. I'm back and forth between the dApp infrastructure, what's it going to be, but I think looking at it from that macroscopic level and based on institutionals will be a good place to start a new perspective. You do a lot of marketing. Could you tell me, we had a little brief discussion prior to this filming. Could you tell me your where it comes from? Where does the insight come from, and the idea, the creation?
Yeah, so to me, like, one of the things that's super important is first principles. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is I feel like the industry has a disease that I call telegramitis, right? Which is that there are these constructs, even the construct of something like security token or the construct of decentralized exchange, like a lot of these things, even right now, ETF is kind of trending in really weird ways because people are not deeply reasoning about the underlying phenomenon. So to me, where my passion comes from is really studying what is happening at the fundamentals, like what is really happening in the space, and how can we reason about it from that vantage point? And in a way, I think that's the antidote to like telegramitis, right? Which is that people hear a buzzword and they just go bananas and they start like selling and buying whatevers because they think other people will sell and buy those things. And in a way, like, where are the fundamentals, right? And to me, that's a paradigm and mindset that comes from investment rather than speculation. So it's more like being in Silicon Valley for like 30 years and participating more in the game there, which is a very much an investor mindset and not a speculator mindset.
You did touch on security tokens, and we are here with Polymath. I'd like to know what your opinion is on the influx of institutional investors in that scope on security tokens, or at least security exchanges and things like that. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so I think it's incontrovertible that the security token, I hesitate to use that phrase because it's a little bit filled with ambiguity, but tokens that are securities are going to lead the charge of institutional capital, right? One of the things that I also do is I'm a co-founder of an exchange called Evercoin, right? And from our perspective, if you look at the SEC lens, almost every coin is a security, right? So it creates ambiguity when you use a phrase like security token. But if you talk about asset-backed regulated tokens, which are in fact securities or regulated as such, like that's going to represent like tens of trillions of dollars of asset value coming into crypto, right? So to me, if you want to talk about institutional capital coming into crypto, it's absolutely going to be led by the security token, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, yeah, thanks so much. Where can people find out more about what you do?
Absolutely. So you can check out Miko.com, Miko.com, or you can go to blog.evercoin.com. That's the exchange, and that's where I put most of my ideas.
Thanks so much for your time.
Of course, a pleasure.